I'm Trevor from SmashweRx. We got Jim, Diablo CrossFit team member, potential games athlete for next year, right?
Oh yeah.
All right, that's what I want to hear. Today we're going to talk about the squat. We're going to talk about squat mechanics. Most of all, we're going to talk about how uncoupling the spinal column is going to take away power from your squat, and not a little bit, a lot. So we just did a quick test on Jimmy before we even started shooting the video, and I want to show you something. You got to check this out. Because your spine, so when people squat, as a matter of fact, we'll go over squat position first and then we'll show that. Jim, I'm going to have you stand right here. Good, make sure he's in the film there. Good, so move out this way just a little. So I'm going to have you do a perfect air squat. So watch this, watch what he does. So drop down into the bottom of an air squat and then stay like that. So if you look at him, all right, super flat, nice neutral spine in the cervical spine. It's almost like I could take my hand and I'm going to reach in and I can make an L right here because his neck is perfectly neutral. So there's no problem with a compressive load on the spine, no problem with a compressive load on the spine, no problem with a compressive load on the spine right here. Knees are torqued out, feet are nice and neutral. He's got no navicular collapse. Go ahead and come on up. So what happens when we see a lot of people squat is do what you see a lot of times when you're coaching people. When you see the squat, head up, see, so look at this. What happens is we lose cervical curve and people think, okay, the old school powerlifting routine, drop into the squat, look up at the ceiling, crank that weight up. But that's one of the biggest things you can do that's going to destroy the amount of power you can generate in your squat. And then the other thing that's going to happen is you're going to get a hyperlordotic spine in your lumbar spine. You're going to create a shear force in there. You're going to do the same thing with the neck. And you're not even going to be able to do your squat properly. Come on up. And Jim's beeping right now. He's on time all the time. So what happens is, check this out. I'm going to have you make this nice straight line, okay? Arms straight out. You can see just how much of a difference this makes in just a simple test like this. Hold tight, resist me. Good. Now crank your head back, look up at the ceiling. Watch this. Look at this. Super loose, nothing there. And the first time I did it, he started laughing because he's like, holy smokes, it makes that much of a difference. So the way you get rid of it is pick a target about 6 feet in front of you when you're dropping into your squat, but there's more to it than just that. I mean, we're going to do a whole series on squatting just to show that, but I like to do it with a box, because when you're on a box, what I'm going to have you do is you're going to squat facing that way on the box. So what I do is I have the box on a corner, so it's easier to get a little depth in the box. And what we want to do is we want to make sure we have a neutral foot position. So let's see if you can see the foot position on Jim. You can. He's got a neutral foot position, so the feet are straight. They're not torqued out. Do me a favor, turn your feet out like a duck, which is where a lot of you guys squat. Yeah, not so good. So now try and generate torque and drop into a squat. You got nothing. You got nothing. Now stay there. Go back down. Look at his low back. You see how much there's a sway in here? Now try and get up off that box. Just watch what he does. Got to lean forward, shear forward, and then pop out of that squat. Now put your feet in a neutral position. Make sure that neck's nice and straight. Now drop into a squat. Look at this. Nice and straight. Okay, let me come out of this so I'm not in the frame. I'm such a camera hog. So, nice and straight. He's looking about 6 feet in front of him at the floor. So you pick your target on the floor. If you have to, throw a paper plate down there. But watch what happens when he gets up off the box. Go ahead and get up off the box. Almost effortless. He doesn't have to translate. He doesn't have to slide back and forth. So if you move for a second, I'm going to imitate the Badshah because he's got probably the most supple, mobile system in the whole gym. This guy's so freaky mobile. So doing things on him and trying to put him in a bad position is almost impossible. So I'll do it because I'm older and I have mobility issues. So if I'm like this and I turn my feet out, and I'm in a bad position, first thing that's going to happen is my knees are going to want to collapse in. My feet are going to want to collapse in. That's going to put shear forces on the knee, right? It's going to put a lot of problems on the heel court. It's going to cause that navicular fault. The foot's going to want to collapse in. And now I can't generate a drop of torque in my system. I can squeeze my butt all day long. It's not going to generate anything. But the big thing is when I'm out in this position and I'm looking 6 feet in front of me, what I have to do is watch what I'm doing. I have to translate forward. Oh, God, bad. Giant bells are going off saying, don't do that. It's because I'm coming forward. So imagine this, I have 300 pounds on my back, and I translate forward, and then I try and stand up. All I've done is I've put a shear force on that spine. Now, come here for a second. Jim's hand's going to represent a disc. Go like this. Let's say this is a disc. This is a bone on the bottom. This is a bone on the top. This is designed to do this. This is called a motor unit. It's designed to do this for about 200 years. You can do this pretty darn well. You're built really well. Now I'm going to get into that bad position, and I'm going to grind that bone across that disc. I'm going to blow out this disc. I'm going to blow out all the ligaments around it, and it's not a matter of if, like I say, it's just a matter of when. So when I'm in this position, and I'm torqued out, and I'm translating, I want you instead to practice, get your hand under here. I saw a video one time, and I didn't even know what to make of it, where a guy put a tennis ball under his neck, and I thought, that's pretty far down to be cranking on your spine, so don't do that. Make your hands into an L. Look at this. This is a nice, neutral, easy position. Spine straight, spine straight. Get your feet situated, and now look what I do. All I have to do is stand up and sit back down. Stand up and sit back down, except I'm going to have Jim do it. Jim's going to do it like he's sitting on eggshells. This is the big thing that I want you guys to do when you're getting ready and set up for a squat, is Jim's going to go down to keep that posterior chain under tension. So the glutes need to fire, the hamstrings need to fire, not quads, because otherwise everything becomes a front squat. Whether it's a back squat, high bar, low bar, everything becomes a front squat, right? So everybody does this, they get the bar on their back, and they shoot their knees forward. This is what you see in a lot of non-CrossFit gyms or poorly coached athletes, is what happens is shoot their knees forward. Every squat you do, whether it's overhead, whether it's back squat or front squat, is a front squat. So what he's going to do is he's going to come down and he's going to stay under load. So the glutes are going to stay on tension, the hamstrings are going to stay on tension. He's going to sit on eggshells, he's going to pause for 3 seconds, and then he's going to stand back up, maintaining that neutral spine. So go ahead. So now he pauses, 1, 2, 3, comes back up. Look how easy that is. So what happens is, do that again for me. See? 1, 2, 3. Look how neutral that spine is. Come on back up. He's got his hands on front of him because that's the proper position for an air squat. But the big thing is that in doing that, what are we training? Motor patterning, right? We're training the body to hold that new position. We're torquing out on the glutes and the floor, basically spreading the floor. It's the coaching cue we always use. But we're training our body to maintain a position that we're supposed to be in instead of training a bad motor pattern. Because I promise you this, when you see somebody walking around like Quasimodo all day long, 9 out of 10 times it's not because their structure's bad inside, it's because this thing is telling their body that this is normal, but it's not. So when you have someone like Jim, he's in here mobilizing all the time, it's unbelievable, it's the truth. In here mobilizing all the time, going through technique all the time, going through skill drills all the time, making sure that his form is so perfect, because when you load up that spine, if your spine is uncoupled, you saw it at the beginning, how bad that arm's gonna drop. If your spine is uncoupled here, if your spine is unorganized or uncoupled here, or even the thoracic spine, I mean, you have a little bit of saving grace because the ribs hold it in place. So it's forgiving, so it allows athletes to make a lot of mistakes in holding that, and you've seen that too, right? They either do the hinge when they come up on their squat, you know, which is just going to destroy the low back, or they do the look up, which now hyperextends everything, right? So either way, you're uncoupling the system. You're going to lose strength, you're going to lose power, and the biggest thing is you're going to wind up injuring yourself. So that's part 1 for the series in squatting. Remember, maintain that neutral spine, torque into the floor, don't keep your feet out like a duck, and when you're doing the box squat, and we're going to come back to this probably tomorrow, when you're doing the box squat, sitting on eggshells for 3 seconds, and then just come on back up. Honestly, I would do that every day. Thank you, I appreciate it.
No problem, man.
All right, I'll see you tomorrow.